So welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
It's great to have you, first of all. And I'm really glad that you guys, that you can, give your time to us.
Oh, you're very welcome. It's an honor, actually.
All right. So how we start, during the podcast, we talk about specifically, introducing yourself. Could you please talk about yourself?
Mm-hmm.
How you got into coffee, how you came to Nepal and everything.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to start from there.
All right.
Yeah?
Let's start from there.
All right.
So I'm Birgit.
Uh-huh.
So it's now my 20th year in Nepal.
Wow.
It's actually shocking. I would have never thought I will end up in this country. When I came to Nepal, I came as a tourism advisor.
Mm-hmm.
And it was not my first choice. Sorry to say that. But at that time, I didn't know anything about it. So the reason why I came was I was into sustainable tourism. And the German organization offered me a really interesting project. I never focused on Asia while studying, and I didn't know about it. So before I said yes to the project, I actually went home Googling Nepal and what's happening in Nepal. And that was after the time when the king's family, when the massacre happened. So very sad story. But the media was full. And I found so much information and it was all interesting. So I said, okay, let's go to Nepal for 1 year. That's how I came. I just wanted to go for 1 year. I packed my one backpack and I'm still here.
Yeah.
20 years later.
What made you stay over here then? Did you change your mind after a year?
Never. I arrived and I felt very comfortable.
Yeah.
I didn't expect it. I had no expectations. But I arrived and I think it was the chaos. It was the smells, it was the people, it was the opportunities of what you can actually try.
Uh-huh.
And it was, of course, the mountains. It was just the whole package intrigued me. And I stayed longer as planned, I'm married to a Nepali. I have daughters. So I found my passion. There was no reason for me to go back.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
If I can ask you, how long did it take to for you to get married? Was it very long, or it's just that you decide like after a year, a couple of years?
That's a tricky question.
Wow. This is tricky questions. Wow.
We got married twice, but the first time after 3 years.
Wow, I see.
Yeah.
Okay. How did you get into coffee? Were you interested before?
I was a passionate coffee drinker because I'm from Austria, so we basically grew up drinking coffee. Here you have chia and biscuits, and in Austria you have every day at least 2 cups, one in the morning and one in the afternoon with a cake. It's like a proper culture. And I studied in Vienna, which is the main city where you have all these old coffee houses. When the Turks conquered Austria, when they came to Austria, they brought the coffee. So since then we have a really lively coffee house culture, and you hang out in these places for hours. You read the newspaper, you chat with your friends, you come up with ideas. And so I grew up with that, but I never had a clue how coffee grows. So how did I come to coffee? Development did not make me happy, that field of work, because I was like an idealist. I wanted to make the world a better place. And I realized I can't do that with development as much as I wanted to. So I decided I need to find another way. And I had good friends and mentors. And one friend suggested, go and visit a coffee farm. And at that point, I didn't even know that coffee grows in Nepal. So I was quite interested. And he sent me to Begnas.
Wow.
Surya's place, Surya Adhikari. I don't know if he's still known nowadays, but at this point he was one of the main permaculture gurus, especially growing coffee.
Wow.
And I stayed there for a while, and he taught me basically everything about processing. And I fell in love with coffee because I was never aware how much work is in one cup. And then I stayed in this simple farm. It was a lovely farmhouse, but really tough for me. I mean, all the luxury is gone and hard work. It's tough. You have to get up and everything, harvesting and processing and getting water. It's tough job. So I started really valuing everyone who is involved. And I was amazed. That was when my interest in coffee really started.
Wow. And that is actually really interesting. When you just, the first time you came to Nepal, what attracted you the most? And how was your first impression?
Overall, Nepal?
Overall, maybe the culture, maybe the people over here.
The chaos.
Don't you think now is too much chaos than before? That was like 15 years before.
There is still chaos, but it's different now. I think I got used to it, so it feels different, and also a lot developed. So a lot is easier now. But when I arrived, coming from a country where everything is organized, everything kind of works, even though people complain a lot, but everything works. This is like, wow, you have this, everything is alive, you just walk through the streets, you have all these smells and noises, and everyone lives together. If you walk through a street in Austria, in my village, it's empty. You don't see someone if you don't make an effort, and you don't smell anything. It's like a little paradise, but I need chaos for myself, and I need challenges. And when I came to Nepal, I felt home. It's like, yeah,
this is the place.
Arrived.
Now, well, yes, this is something that we do not appreciate it, I guess. I'm not sure, but, the chaos and everything.
The grass is always greener on the other side.
Yeah. How then, after the processing, after the farming that you have learned, you said the first time you have visited the farm, how long did it take for you to start, Karma? Did you just do it right away, or just took?
No, it took me a while. I think the biggest step was to let go of security. I had a nice job. I had a good salary, the whole package. And I knew if I give that up and if I decide to stay in Nepal, I need to find a way to make ends meet. And I can't live just from passion. So it took me about 2 to 3 years, honestly. So I changed from a full-time job into a freelance job. I was a tourism consultant for a few years, and I shared an office with a friend in Gyan Mandala, where I'm right now with Karma. And the whole idea got planted in this building, actually. So it took me a while. First, I visited First, I visited farms. Then I started doing some research, and I explored what I could actually do. I never saw myself as a businesswoman or running a cafe, even though my background is hospitality. But it fell into place. So the longer I explored, the more I knew I need to change my life, and the more I knew coffee is the field I'm interested in. But the last kick was when, the owner of the building, he said, let's do an experiment. I want to create a community in this building, and you look for something else, bring some coffee, bring some cups and a camping stove, let's sit in the corridor and invite everyone for coffee.
Wow.
So I thought, that's a nice change to my report writing. So I did that. And at that time, the building was not as vibrant as now. There were only a few parties like the Jazz Conservatory and a few others, but it was quite quiet. And everyone really appreciated to get a cup of coffee. And I realized this is the start of a community. People stop, sit down, have a few minutes, and you start talking, and you learn so much. And that was actually the kick I needed to decide, okay, let's start like a little cafe and let's see what happens.
Wow.
Then I rented the room next door to the office. And I decided I will just do pour over, like what
one.
you see here, this one. I decided I just put in front of everyone who wants a coffee that a cup and a little filter, and let's see what happens. I didn't have a business plan, if this is your next question.
Because this is really interesting for me, because that was like 15 years before.
Yeah, because we are running as a business since it's the 11th year, but a few years before I kind of started research and still working freelance. Yeah.
The reason it is interesting for me, because talking about the pour over, it is pretty much fashionable, or let's say into the market these days, especially when we are talking about specialty coffee and everything. And I know when I started learning about pour over, the first place I had to go was Karma Coffee. And I would be very honest, the first time I knew about Karma Coffee and specifically talking about the pour over, this is the place where I can get the equipment. I came to your place and it was totally vibrant. Why? My next question is, why pour over? Why didn't you choose the other equipments? Because I started my career before around, like, it's been almost 12 years now, and I know the coffee culture was not so hyped up at that point of time, and people didn't have that much knowledge on coffee. They didn't have the idea what actually coffee is all about.
Yeah.
Now that might be pretty much challenging for a lot of people who have had espresso machines and everything. But out of nowhere, talking about filter coffee, specifically talking about pour over, that might be pretty much unique to the people.
Yeah. I wanted to be different. Well, at that time in Europe, the pour over just started to become fashionable, the third wave. And I really loved the aesthetics of Hario equipment. Also, there was no electricity in Nepal.
That might be one of the main reasons.
Well, all the reasons came together. Because I was annoyed if I went to a place that had an espresso machine and pretty much more than half of the day they couldn't use it. So what's the point?
Yeah.
So if I offer coffee, I want to offer it 24 hours.
Makes sense.
So I thought, okay, how can I do it? I want to be different. I really love Hario equipment, and the pour over, it's like an experience. I always wanted to offer an experience. I knew that much. I didn't know too much about the whole coffee industry, but I was pretty sure I want to stand out in the way I do things. And I did a course in Vienna, in the Vienna School of Coffee, and there I learned about the pour over, and the teacher was really fascinating me, and she was so knowledgeable and she was so lively in the way she explained everything. And I was sure I want to do pour over only. And also I had no money. I mean, an espresso machine is really expensive. Yeah. So I said, this is perfect. I can offer something really good, which doesn't cost so much. And the last reason was, all these coffee shops have long menus, a lot of syrups, a lot of fancy drinks. And I decided, no, I keep it really simple. If I go for Nepali coffee, the people should taste Nepali coffee. And also, hardly anyone knew Nepali coffee.
Yeah.
There were, I think, 2 coffee shops at that time. There was Himalayan Chava in Tamil, the first original, and there was the Japanese also in Tamil.
Oh.
At least these were
Takazi?
Yeah.
I forgot the name.
The two I knew.
Yeah.
Besides that, there was no competition, and
When it comes to filter coffee?
no, when it comes to coffee.
Okay.
Real coffee, there was, I mean, now you have a lot.
Yeah.
At that time, not. And I also thought, how do I get people here? We are hidden in a school where not much is happening, and people drink tea and have no money. So how can I start a cafe and make a business out of that? So I thought, well, I have to create awareness. I have to let them know that there is Nepali coffee and let them know how it actually tastes. And I thought the less I add, the more pure is the flavor. And that's why I decided, okay, pour over, no other stuff, just plain. And we had the Karma chicken.
Karma chicken.
Which means I did not put a fixed price. People could pay as much as it was worth.
Yeah, that was my next question.
Yeah.
You know, the first time I've been to your place, I saw that one small, the notes over there. Pay the amount that you think that we deserve. Kind of that one. How do you say it?
It was not charity. It was like you pay as much as you think that cup is worth for you. Yeah.
That was really interesting. That is actually really interesting because still now I see that in a few of the places in your branch. You still have it, right?
We still have the chicken, but unfortunately now we modernized, and the government and the tax office is not in favor of such concepts. So it's really tough. I would have loved to maintain it, but everything is now IMS.
What made you come up with that note?
Well, my husband played a role with that. He loves creative marketing, and we are both very social people. So the idea was it gets some attention, but at the same time, a lot of people don't have so much money, especially the young ones. Let them get used to the coffee without exploiting everyone or without charging too much, and slowly introduce the coffee and create that culture. So I must say that was the best marketing tool we had, because even before the furniture was in, we had already articles in magazines and newspaper, because it was different.
Yeah, I know that. I still see the kind of vibe that you have, specifically talking about Karma Coffee. The ambience that you have, it was totally different than the regular coffee shops that that we have it in Nepal. But have you had a funny experience where people used to pay a very less amount of money and
yes, of course.
Because I always used to think about that, because there would be very less numbers of people who would be paying a good amount of money for that cup of beautiful coffee. Yeah. But there would be also the other funny incident where people might be just leaving very less amount, maybe 10 rupees, 20 rupees.
We had that too. So, but I must say, in the end, it benefited us more than we lost. Because, I mean, either you have a marketing budget and you put a lot in flyers, advertisement, I don't know, whatever you want to do to get the attention. We never put anything into marketing. So the people spread the word. And yes, we had especially students who love to pay very little, but they brought in more people, and students are also growing. And well, now we do have a price, but it's very moderate, I would say. Yeah. And whenever we discussed, should we change that concept, yes or no, we decided, no, let's not change it, because it's good for us. Yeah. So we accepted that. And I think it was the right decision.
Yeah. That's one of a marketing strategy. That's totally different, yes. Now we have the other social media, but at that point of time,
there was nothing, yeah.
How did you come up with the name Karma?
That was also together with my husband. We wanted something simple, something that can be understood in Nepal and outside of Nepal. And karma also resonates with the way we live. It's a Buddhist approach. I mean, whatever you do influences your life.
Yeah.
So if you just try to be a good human, good will also come back to you. And the way karma grew, it's very important for me that we try to protect the environment. That's why we do all the upcycling, recycling. We utilize every little bit from the coffee chain. All the furniture, the whole interiors, all local materials. We work directly with the farmers, with local producers. So everything we do, it resonates with karma. So that's why karma is small. And the dot in the middle, I think that's a very good communication starter, because everyone wonders why is that dot there. It didn't really have a meaning except that it looks interesting, and it makes a difference to the name karma. But now it's also, now after 10 years, after reflecting where we are, it's also a beginning. It stands, everything starts with a dot. Whatever you talk about, everything starts with a dot, but it's also a circle. And now the new concept is pretty much circular economy. To keep everything within your own circle and not waste any resources, from the local economy to everything. It's kind of connected. So it has a new meaning now. It evolved. And I would say after 10 years, we know why we have the dot.
This is really interesting now. Birgit, I have, let's put it this way. When you started, I know that when you talk about the recycling process and everything, I've been to your place and I've seen the furnitures that you have had before, the old classy table that you have had, the sack that you have had. I used to see it when I was young in my grandparents' house, those kind of equipments and everything. Did you had this thing in your mind? Okay, I'm gonna use this equipment, or just a plan, that you came up with?
You're talking about the interiors,
the
or
interiors
the
and everything. Yeah,
the interiors.
Yes,
it's a passion of mine. I love to create spaces where you feel home. And I love to use local materials. I mean, again, I didn't have much money. I didn't want to import anything. That's also against my belief. So I wanted to utilize what's around. But also, I find it really exciting to explore what's available and who's making what. This is kind of my big passion. So it happened. I just looked around and utilized what I liked and what I found, and people I met and gave me inputs, and it's slowly developed. But I was sure I never wanted to buy something from a shop that imports. My only exception was I didn't have any coffee equipment, and as you mentioned, pour over was not a thing at that time. So I had one shipment from Hario coming in.
That's it?
That's it. And then I started replacing everything with made in Nepal.
I know that because we have been using a lot of Nepali products, and you have been building up some of the Nepali products as well. Right? As a foreigner, when you started the business, now how hard was it to connect with the people? Because that's going to be one of the challenging factors. That's what I believe. Now I want to put this, before this question, I wanted to ask one of these questions what was your first step when you started Karma? Because while building up the team, because I see the team that you have still now, they have the first person, they have been working with you and they're still with you. And I wanted to ask about the team, how you started with the team.
I started with volunteers.
Yeah? The young volunteers?
Young volunteers.
Okay.
One is now actually working in the White House. The other one is very successful in Japan. I always wanted to create an alumni because we worked with so many volunteers. And these were friends of friends or recommendations of people I appreciated. And they worked besides school, very young ones, and they were all very social and open-minded, and they just worked there because they liked the concept. It was different, and they could hang out, and it was all super relaxed. So I think for half a year, I just had volunteers where we figured out ourselves what we are and what we're doing. I mean, I also didn't really know. Except Binita, who is now managing my place.
Yeah.
She was actually cleaning the floors in that building. And
really?
Yeah, she was there every day, and I saw her cleaning the floors. And one day she came to me and said, she didn't speak English, she said in Nepali, someone had to translate for me, can you teach me? I want to work here. And I was so impressed that she did that. I thought, well, that's a good attitude. I could use someone with that attitude. And I hired her. She was my first staff, paid with salary.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mentioned you know, the first time I saw Binita Didi.
Yeah.
She was very shy, maybe uncomfortable as well. I'm not sure, but yes, she was not into that. You can see that she has not been there, and it's her first time as well. But recently, when we met, I was totally surprised the way she looked. She was totally different. Number one, you saw the picture over there.
Yeah.
And I always used to, because I believe that I saw one of your video. I'm not pretty much sure where did I see it actually, but I saw one of the video where you mentioned about Binita Didi actually. So I just went there just to see how she is doing, and actually she is doing or not. I was like, yeah, she was doing very well.
I'm very proud of her.
Yeah, I think you should be. But also I wanted to ask Birgit, you know, we have been always trying to approach to these kind of people in a sense, like women, you know, where they might not have a pretty much good background on the, you know, coffee, or they might be wanted to do something in the coffee. You know, I've seen the volunteers, the similar kind of volunteers. You do not see very much, you know, very high educated people, or let's say when it comes to barista, when it comes to my field, where people are either they have a very good background, they have got very nice living, but in your place where you people are pretty much passionate about the coffee. Do you have any specific reasons for that? It's just that I'm taking it the wrong way.
No, the right way. I really like working with women. Well, I always say what I'm doing now is still my development, but in a different way. When I was working for INGOs, you're very limited in what you can do. And I believe if you give skills, and if you can give income, and if you help someone to be independent and improve your lifestyle, then this is success for me. That makes me feel good. And I mean, there are a lot of, especially young women, who can use such empowerment. And they always found me. I didn't really go out and searched, but I think the word spread, and it's fun working with all of them. I love everyone. Yeah, it comes with different challenges, because the way you teach and the way you train is very different than when you talk with someone who has a similar background and English and knowledge. And but I believe, well, I always wanted to run a business like that. It's different, it's more work and requires different effort, but I think the reward is much bigger. And well, our standards are also different, I would say. I would not describe Karma Coffee as one of those really absolutely fancy coffee places where you you have your scale, you have your thermometer. I commercialized all of that so that everyone can do it. But I would say our coffee is pretty good. So I created a scoop where there's exact amount that we require.
This one?
Yeah, this one. So we just adjusted everything that we can train it in a simplified way. Now, actually, I absolutely believe we can train everything because we switched now to digital system and everyone can use the laptop.
Yeah.
Everything can be trained. But at that time, I, as a foreigner and also not so comfortable in training, I had to find my ways to get stuff done. And I enjoy working with people who don't have the best education because the commitment is great, the attitude is great, and you can teach pretty much everything.
Now, this is where my previous question connects, I wanted to ask how difficult was that, or maybe was it difficult as a foreigner where you have to connect with the people? Because when it comes to let me open up to this topic. When we talk about the society that we have it when it comes to women, it's going to be pretty much hard for people to let someone go to buy the rice in the plate. And it's pretty much interesting for specifically talking about Karma Coffee because most of the staff I've seen over there is basically women. I've seen very less.
I have one.
Yeah. So was it difficult? Man. Yeah. Was it difficult for you to to connect with them, to make them believe that, yes, to make you, to trust you, to make it a very simple way, if I have to put it on the table?
Not in my team. Whoever works in my team, no, it was not difficult. But it was difficult, or I did feel that there was some skepsis with a lot of people in the coffee industry outside my coffee shop.
Oh, yeah.
I work with, more than 900 farmers, families, and producers. And there are a lot of men. And also, the coffee industry is not the easiest.
Yeah.
So you do need to... I became tougher, let's say it this way. I think I was quite soft when I started, but I think I'm more tougher now.
That's one of the things that I believe that's going to be a challenging factor where as a foreigner where you try to approach people, and specifically when we are talking about the society that we have it, the family that we have it, it's very hard for people, specifically talking about the woman, to let them go and bring the rice in the plate. It's going to be very hard. So well,
I must say I come from a family with we are three sisters. I went to girls' schools. I grew up where women had all the rights. I never felt that we are
different,
not on the same level, even though there are also in Europe, everywhere there are still discrepancies. But I never felt it because I never grew up in an environment. So for me, it was absolutely normal that I'm treated the same way as males. Coming to Nepal, I realized there are different opinions and different norms. Society is working very differently, but I still continued behaving the way I always behaved. And I have a foreigner bonus. People are really, really nice to me and accepting and explain to me if I do something totally wrong or just close the eyes and say, whatever, it's okay. But I found that also exciting to find a middle way, to not step on toes, but to also not accept everything. So I think I feel quite comfortable. Yeah.
Nice. How many farmers do you work with now?
More than 900.
And most of them are male or female?
To the outside, male, but if you look who's really doing the work, there are a lot of females.
Yeah, because I totally understand. I totally get what you're trying to say over here. Because I've been visiting few of the farmers as well, and I am pretty much, surprised and amazed by the hard work that the ladies, women farmers are doing, and that's pretty much interesting. And that's where you're getting a very good quality coffees as well. And I've been talking to Pranita as well regarding this one, where he has been always mentioning that, more than the male farmer, they're pretty much busy drinking the alcohol or maybe playing cards. They are specifically female farmers where, they are doing the hard work and producing very high quality coffees as well. Do you remember when was the first time, which origin coffee did you source?
My first coffee I sourced was from Bayali, Kaski.
You used to go with the commercial blend?
That village was introduced. Who introduced that? Oh, there was a German journalist, Rolf. He's not anymore with us. And he knew Bisho. And I think he introduced me. My God, it's so long time ago. So I went and visited, and I remember these were the first green beans I ever bought. I'm really proud what he's doing now. I think his kids are involved. So they're producing great coffee, great beans. They also have a cafe. It's really nice to see how they developed. But yeah, this was the first farm. First Surias where I learned. But Surya already had buyers, so he could only give me very little. Yeah, and then the second one was Bayali.
So when you started, did you ever thought of, how you're going to do it when it comes to roasting? And because you did learn about the processing as well. Did you learn about the roasting as well?
Well, I bought a sample roaster.
I remember, the air roaster that you had.
And I told you, I was basically running Karma with volunteers, and I had also expert volunteers, spouses, male spouses who had time and had a passion for coffee. And Jamison was the first one who actually said, I'm going to develop a roast profile for you. So it was, I had green beans. I didn't know anything about roasting. And he said, we get that. Let's get a sample roaster. And we figured it out. And I think he researched so much, and he sampled, and we did cuppings, and we invited others to join the cuppings. So actually, I'm still following pretty much what he came up with.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Now coming back to 2023, after 10 years or 12 years, you have your own profile, the same profile?
Pretty much.
Wow. How do you describe your journey when it comes to business? Karma as a business from 15 years before till now. How would you describe it?
I started a passion. I would not even say I started a business, because at that point I didn't really know what it means. So I focused on everything I enjoyed doing, and I ignored everything I didn't enjoy until I had staff and salaries and rent and the realization, you need to figure out how to deal with numbers and do some planning. And then I realized, okay, it is a business. I have to treat it as a business. And then I worked on systems. I'm not the best example for every young entrepreneur. I think have a plan first.
Yeah.
But passion is also important.
That's right. And how do you describe that as a culture when it comes to coffee culture?
Well, now I think Nepal has a coffee culture. If you look around, there's so many cafes with Nepali coffee, which I really appreciate. And also quite some cafes where you like to hang out, where you have this little feel of it's a coffee house.
Yeah.
But I do believe there are not enough young people who try to be different. There are too many copy-pastes. So, there is a coffee shop, they must make a lot of money. Let me also open a coffee shop. It's not that easy. And I wish everyone would think through a little bit more before opening one. you do need to have a few skills and passion, commitment, not just money to start it.
That's right.
If you want to keep it. If you just want to start it and close it after a while, fine. But if you actually want to establish something that is sustainable and long term, it takes more.
Wow, you just spoke my heart out. Wow. Yeah, I totally agree on that part, because now people understand the culture is pretty much growing as well. You know, when I started first, I started with the franchisee company. That was an Italian and Indian franchisee. We didn't have that much coffee culture at that point of time, but yes, there were very good numbers of crowd who used to love coffees. But now we have good numbers of cafeteria, but it's just the same thing that we are getting on every coffee shops, with the same idea and with the same thoughts of earning money out of the coffee. But yes, there are a lot of things that comes when it is a business, and also the culture as well. It's pretty interesting. But let's get back to your farm as well. You said 900 farmers you work with. Can I ask you how much coffee do you produce, or you collect?
Around 11 tons, yeah.
11 tons. And do you every 11 tons is consumed in Nepal? Or do you sell coffee outside as well?
Not everything.
Oh.
About 1/3 goes outside.
Oh, wow. Is there any specific country you sell?
I'm not actively searching for a green bean market because there is not so much coffee in Nepal, and it's actually quite a headache if you want to make sure the quality is okay and you take it serious. So I only work with people I have different partnerships, relationships with. The ones who buy my coffee, they have projects in Nepal. So it's mostly sold as project coffee, meaning the profit comes back to Nepal. So for these efforts, I'm interested to make an effort myself and provide coffee. But for me, the export is not money making. For me, the export is part of supporting Nepal. Yeah. And also, it helps me to make sure the coffee I source for myself, I make sure the quality is on track, and I invest more time in all of that. So yeah, it's not for the sake of exporting.
That does make sense as well. Do you want to recognize as let's say, not you, do you want Karma Coffee to be recognized as a processors?
I wouldn't say that. I want Karma Coffee to be recognized as a model for circular economy. So processing is part of it. But I have a network of people I chose to work with. And without them, Karma Coffee wouldn't be Karma Coffee. But I learned during the past years, one person cannot excel in everything. So you need to outsource, or you need to hand over to someone who is good in that. So I learned I need to choose people I trust, who are loyal and who do the job the way I think it should be done. So I do go to the farms. I do know the farmers, not all of them, because it's super remote. Yeah. But I know how my coffee is processed. I know the weaknesses. I know the strengths. But I'm not every harvest in all the villages because that's impossible. So Karma Coffee, I'm not a processing unit. It's part of it, but that's not the main thing.
So, yes. But also, you mentioned Karma Coffee as a boutique cafe. Do you still say that?
Well, when I started, I called Karma Coffee Boutique.
Yeah, Coffee Boutique.
Yeah. I think we are still different than many other places. Yeah. Yes. I don't call myself boutique anymore, but I still think if you translate it, we still are. But
I wanted to connect with that. My next questions were, could you explain about the boutique, that you want to come up with when it comes to Karma Boutique, or let's say Coffee Boutique? What was the main concept of, mentioning it as a boutique cafe?
We are not just a place where you come, have a cup, and you leave. So we utilize every part of the coffee. From the fruit flesh, we collect the skin from the roasting. We collect. We make coffee paper. We make. We use it for candles. We make cosmetics, coffee soap, whatever can be done. Now I also have art soap where I utilize other byproducts. So when you come in, you more experience the whole coffee chain. It's not just you only drink coffee, but I invite that you actually ask questions, that you can smell, that you can touch, that you can meet others, and that you have a good reason to start a communication with others. So it's more like a full package and a reason to hang out.
It actually gives that vibe when you go to Karma Coffee as well. Birgit, I wanted to ask you regarding when you're talking about the recycling process.
Yeah.
When was the first thought when you thought of recycling, specifically talking about that filter that you have, recycling that? Did it just come by just randomly, or was that pre-planned?
I got inspired by an Austrian company because they use a certain wood and they create so many products out of that. And when I saw that the first time, I thought, wow, actually you can do that with everything. And then I went back and I thought, okay, coffee. What's all coffee? What parts are all coffee? And what do I throw? And what could I utilize? And basically, it sounds really cheesy, but in one night, I had some ideas what I could do with a few byproducts. And then I woke up and I sat in the computer and I researched. And I basically decided my whole first product line. And that was the start.
Yeah, the filter paper, the lamp?
The filter paper was also pretty much in the beginning, yeah. But it started with the chuffs from the roasting that I started collecting those and to do the paper. And I had a Chinese artist living in the second floor in the same building. And she always came up for coffee and she recycled everything. And she asked me one day, what do you do with the filters? And I said, I don't know. So she said, give it to me. And then she started stitching filters on canvas and create bags. And I thought, wow, this is so good. And then she said, you can make so many things out of that. Yeah. So she inspired me to actually look into the option, what can be done. And I had a lot of people coming, giving me ideas. So it was not all my doing. I was just implementing and listening what others say. And I really enjoyed that the people were so active and interested to, also do something differently and brought in all those ideas. Yeah.
That is really interesting, actually. Do you sell this product as well?
Yes.
Yes?
I would say 50% of my sales is products.
Wow. Wow, that's really interesting. Oh.
Yeah.
So most of the people, they can get it from Karma Coffee store?
I only sell it in Karma Coffee, in my outlets. Sometimes there were some exhibitions where we contribute. Sometimes some resorts buy lamps or other places have a coffee station with my equipment. But I don't really give the products we create to other shops.
So you do not have any online store or maybe...
Online, yes, but not physical.
Oh, okay.
So physical, it's just the Karma outlets and where we have partnerships, like Hotel Karuna in Pokhara. But I do not sell it in other shops, like other concept stores or so.
What was your first product that you started with? Because you have now a lot of local resources, locally made product.
The cup.
Yeah, this was the first one.
The cup.
The black one.
Well, actually, the olive one.
Olive one.
Yeah, the cup and the paper.
The filter paper.
And then we made not the filter paper, the coffee paper. And then we made boxes and different things out of the.
Yes, I can see that a lot of your products are basically made in Nepal.
All of them.
Yeah, all of them. You also started with a concept of made in Nepal using all of the Nepali product.
Well, we have made in Nepal. Actually, my husband bought long time ago the domain made in Nepal because he was in trade and in Pashmina, but he stopped. And so the idea was at some point we're gonna take it out of Nepal and export all the products. The idea is still there, yeah.
Yes. Do you still export?
Well, some. It's getting quite tough since COVID.
Yeah.
The cargo prices are pretty high. So if someone orders, yes, but not small individual parcels.
Yeah, I understand.
But it's on the map. Yeah.
One of the interesting, for me, the interesting product is the filter cloth. Nisha, could you bring the filter cloth, please? The filter cloth specifically, because this is something totally different. And I think you guys might be the first one who made this product, I guess, in all over the world. This is really nice. And I know the quality has changed a lot.
You know why? Well, we needed a lot of coffee paper. And coffee paper is imported. And there was during lockdown, you couldn't import. So coffee paper became less. And I was really worried that we're running out. And I looked for alternatives. And the organization that stitches this is called Baristascoffeeschool. They're making diapers.
It's okay.
They started making really high quality diapers. That's why the name is Baristascoffeeschool. But they expanded and they give jobs to women who really need to get some skills and generate their own income. And she started making some, and I told her, let's work together because I tested. It's not, we cannot just use any cotton.
Yeah.
And she said, great. So she started making several trials. So it took us a while to figure out which one does not reduce the flavor or how fast it flows and everything. So yeah, Baristascoffeeschool is making these, and we're really happy to work with them. They're doing a fantastic job. And we switched our whole operations to cotton filters. And we like to encourage everyone at home to also use cotton filters because you need a lot of paper, which is imported. We still use some when we need lamps because we make lamps out of them.
Yes. I still remember my first experience where I could not get the the filter paper that we have it, and we used to have very small filter paper. So I had to try yours. So this cloth, I had to try it out. I have had a very good experience because we used to teach to the students over here as well. But later on, I used it for like 8 months, 12 months. After that, the cloth used to smell, and the coffee quality used to get reduced. But this
then it's time to replace.
I'm gonna do that. But this is pretty nice, actually. I love it. I'm happy with this one, actually.
I'm glad you're happy because you are school, so if you are happy with it, that means a lot.
I'm glad.
Yeah.
Are you into specialty coffee?
If I'm into specialty coffee? Yeah, since I'm in Nepal, yes.
Yes. How do you describe, what is specialty coffee to you?
For me personally, it means I know exactly where my coffee comes from, who makes it, how it's processed, what's the score, what are the flavors, what are the faults. So I need to know my coffee. I mean, when I started, the specialty range was still 80. I mean, they changed it now. But yes, I'm into specialty.
Wow. Would you, because, you mentioned that your coffee is a single origin.
Yeah.
So do you have that? Do you keep the records of that trace and transparent when it comes to your coffee?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My condition is I want to know. Well, I source from villages. Even though a lot of districts are organized in cooperatives, village cooperative, district cooperative. So my condition is that the coffee collected for me is kept separate, not combined, because there are district cooperatives, they mix everything.
Yeah.
So this is the worst.
Yeah.
So I think the way I'm different, I insist that they are collected separately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So mostly you use wash process?
Yeah, I'm using washed.
Wow.
Even though I might get convinced.
But yeah, it's good. It's been long that you have been selling the beans as well?
Yeah.
In the same packet. I still remember, the first time I have had the small packets Karma Coffee, where that was pretty much, I'm not pretty much sure, but I think I forgot the origin actually, but yes, I have had. It was pretty nice. But now, recently, the last time I've had the coffee, the quality of the coffee has been totally different. What had changed?
I think the farmers are also more experienced. They're more aware what they have to look at. Well, I think the whole industry grew. There is more knowledge. There are more trainings. There is now cupping possible in Nepal. When I started, that was not possible. So you still had to send it out. It was super expensive and took long and really complicated. But now you can actually do it here. I think that's a huge advantage because you get immediately your feedback and you know if you need to work on a coffee or if you need to change the coffee or you can find out what's the reason. So it's all easier now. Yeah. But also I think transport is easier, facilities are better. From the pulping to the fermenting to the drying, everything is improving.
Do you have your team who looks after the processing of the coffees that you have right now?
Well, in all the villages, there are pulpers. They're very trained and qualified. But yes, there are technicians who go and check during harvesting especially, and also off harvesting when it's time to, fertilize or prune. But it's very tough because, coffee grows really remote. So monitoring is tough.
Yeah. But also, do you control the processing that you get from the farm till your place? When we talk about the wash process coffee, but among that, the quality of the coffee, how they store, how it is roasted, how it is kept, storage. Do you even control that as well?
So whenever I start working with a village, I go there and I learn everything. I see which farmers, how do they work. I check out the storage. I check out the processing. I can't go every harvest everywhere, so I do sample checks. But I work with Nepalis who do. And then there are certain criteria from moisture to, I do get my regular pictures. I do get, I know what machines they use for pulping. I know how they dry. I know how they store. I do know that. But there is also trust involved.
Yeah.
In the end, when I see the green beans, when I see the moisture, when I do the cuppings, that's the last test. But it's really tough if you want to monitor every village throughout the year. You would need a really, really big team. So I work with villages where I know they're on a certain level of knowledge. And then it's a technician on a regular basis. Then that's the collect. I work with a Nepali. Then when it's in the factory, I check it in the factory. And that I would say I do control.
Now that brings, one of my personal question that I really wanted to ask you.
Hmm.
Do you ever felt as a buyer, coffee buyer, do you ever feel like you have been biased when it comes to the Nepali buyer, or maybe separated or treated differently?
Well, I don't know how the Nepali buyers are treated. I cannot really compare.
In terms of price, price related.
I don't do the negotiations.
No? Oh. Well, okay. So you just give the amount of money, whatever they ask?
No, my Nepali partner is doing the negotiations.
Oh, okay.
And
So-
I talk with him.
No, I see.
I don't do it direct because that definitely would increase the price
Yeah.
immediately.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Well, I got it. I got it. No problem. I got
and
it.
I'm a woman.
Yeah. I understand. Now, like I mentioned before, during our initial, starting of the podcast, that I've seen most of the women, female staff, or maybe the farmers that you are basically connected with. I wanted to ask about the woman empowerment. How are you guys? How are you helping as a Karma Coffee to woman empowerment? And I don't know if it makes sense or not. My question.
In general, or
In general.
well, in my outlets there are mainly women.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this is a direct empowerment through skills.
Mm-hmm.
They have their own salaries.
Mhm.
They can take care of their families, but also I think their reputation is not so bad.
Mm-hmm.
If they can say they work for Karma.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's like family. So if there is a problem or something, it's not just a job, but we do care what's happening in private life as well.
Uh-huh.
A lot of producers are also female.
Mm-hmm.
So wherever possible, I like to work with women.
That's okay. I'm just gonna.
To give them my orders and let them earn.
Mm-hmm.
In the villages where we talked before briefly about it, even though the main faces are the men, if it's about, I don't know any female palpa.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if there are committees, if there are, the spokespeople.
Mm-hmm.
They are mainly men in coffee.
Mm-hmm.
But if you actually visit the families and you let them tell how they work, harvesting and everything they do, it's actually mainly the women and also the kids who do it. So I think through buying the cherries and through giving them trainings, the women definitely benefit. I wish they would be a little bit more in the front.
Mm-hmm.
And actually my dream is, I would love to work directly with the women.
Mm-hmm.
I think it needs to happen slowly because change is never fast.
Yeah, that's right.
You cannot come in and roll over and start demanding. So I think it needs to happen in their time. But it would be really beautiful if I could work directly with the women.
Yeah.
I would love that.
Yeah, I like the mind concept of the female farmers, women farmers, because the way they are always eager to learn and they always try to understand what the person in front of you is trying to explain you. Because I've had few of the chance to talk to the farmers as well, and they are way too much open-minded, and they're always eager to learn the new stuff and new processing and new things about the coffee as well, which is really nice. And that is the main reason I wanted to ask, because like I mentioned, I've seen you working with the women a lot, and I find it really hard if I could see any men in your Karma Coffee or any. Have you ever thought of that? Can we ever see that?
Well, we have one.
Yeah, I know. Your manager?
Yeah. We have one. And, I'm open for everyone, but it happens most of the times that women match what we need.
Yeah.
but I'm not anti-man, so
No.
that's not. It just happens to be that way, and I really enjoy that. Yeah.
Now let me be a little bit more. Let me ask you pretty much a little bit tougher question. Maybe tough for me to ask, but not for you to answer though. When you mentioned that you're promoting Nepali coffee, how Karma Coffee is promoting Nepali coffee? If you have to answer that.
How Karma is promoting Nepali coffee?
Yeah. On the international market or also in the national market as well.
Ah.
In terms of valuation. Yeah.
I think it's pretty easy because Karma stands for Nepali. Everything is Nepali.
Yeah.
From how we look, with whom we work, what we produce, what we offer. We tell transparent stories. I think our way to promote Nepali coffee is we are honest. We're really honest. All my buyers get a very clear cost breakdown. They know where the coffee comes from. They get the pictures. I actually want to have a system where they can follow down to the farmers. So it's not reality yet, but hopefully soon. So I think the best way is to just be honest. And because I'm a foreigner, I have one advantage abroad, that it's easier to listen to me because I think in a similar way and I can communicate in an easy way. But for Nepal, even here, we are trying to be very transparent and honest. So when you come to Karma and you ask questions, we don't really mind telling you. I think this is the best way to promote.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, not secrets, but there's a lot of competition and it's getting tougher and tougher.
So you have to make
there
sure.
are a lot of traders, there are a lot of buyers, there are a lot of, you don't talk about prices, and it's getting tougher. So you need to find your little way, what works for you. And I think for me, it's pretty much honesty.
Yes.
So when you talked about specialty coffee, I say we are into specialty coffee. I also mentioned before the cupping scores were 80, now it's 85. So the coffees I sell are all between 83 and 86. I still call it specialty because if it's interesting, the cuppings here and the cuppings outside do not always show the same results. So if I get the 83 here, it's sometimes the 85 outside and opposite.
Yeah.
So I pretty much trust my understanding of coffee as well, my experience. But this is what I'm looking for. Yeah. If it's higher, you need to charge more. The pricing is affected. And we do, I think I mentioned that before, we do pour-overs, but we do the commercial pour-over. Yeah, so this is the range I'm comfortable with. Maybe in future I have a little corner where I go more, higher, specialty, once you created that market. But I think honesty is really key. Yeah.
I agree on the part when you mentioned that regarding the score, when we score, it's pretty much low compared to the international market, how they score the, while talking about Nepali coffee as well. Because I've had a very good experience with a lot of coffees where, we have been scoring the coffee in a very low, very strict way, where we could understand, okay, this might not score high, but the same coffee, when we send it to our, international cuppers, our friends, they cup it very high actually, which is really nice. So we always try to mention when we talk to Nimadai, Pranidai, we have been scoring very low to our Nepali coffee. So, and we really need to come up.
Well, it's good to do 2 cuppings to see, to also know what's the difference in the tasting and how do others see it. Yeah. So it's quite exciting. But I definitely think I'm specialty.
Yeah, definitely. Because you have a very nice coffee. The last time I've had it, and I really love it actually. Now, while talking about the product section as well, you have this the handmade spoon, the cups, and everything handmade, right? Don't you think it's going to cost you more?
Meaning?
In terms of manufacturing, in terms of to build up your cost, the people, the labor, and everything, because compared to whatever we have it, the equipment that we have it, it's going to be pretty much less price when we're going to buy it from outside than building up in Nepal as well. And I showed you the other dripper as well I've had. This cost me around like too much, where I can buy one of the other plastic dripper as well. So do you have to face those challenges as well, or are you okay with that?
I'm okay with that because I want to support the artisanship. Yeah. And I want that Nepalis are proud of their skills, otherwise they vanish at some point. Yeah. Also, people love handmade. In a lot of countries abroad, you don't find that anymore. Everything is machine made. So the value is coming back for handmade items. And yes, maybe less people buy it, but the people who buy it, they are happy to pay the price. Yeah. And I'm not gonna negotiate down the price. I'm just aiming for the people who appreciate these things and sell it to them. Yeah, makes sense. And there is a market, clearly. Totally, but it is expensive, yes.
What are the products that you have right now? Karma Coffee have right now?
We work pretty much in all fields, from metal, wood, paper, cosmetics, ceramics. What else do we have? We also started in lockdown supporting farmers in remote areas with other produce because they had no market, like from Kanali, from Manang. There are so many farmers who have amazing products, but they don't know to whom to sell. So I think this is a market that is not totally exploited yet, even though a lot of people jumped on board and also do that now, which is good. I think we need to consume and promote much more what is available in Nepal. Yeah.
Wow. Where can people buy these products? In Karma outlet?
Yes, in both Karma outlets. We also sell via Daras. And we also sell via Tabisi. That's a women-led e-commerce platform for women. Wow. Yeah. Okay. They're doing a great job. Yeah. It's also a startup. They're pretty young and new. Wow. But they're basically putting everything on the platform females need. If it's a young woman, if it's a young mother, if it's an old woman. So that it's easy to source. Yeah. Yeah. And we're always happy to support any new initiatives if it's about edible products from remote areas, or if it's something with new materials. I think this is our passion. Yeah. This is how we create our network and how we link up people. Coffee is the heart of it. Yeah. Coffee connects everything. Yeah. And out of that, so many new linkages come up. Yeah, I could see that as well, because looking after one of your outlet where you mentioned at the hub, is that in? Now it's in Boda. Boda. That used to be in Tamil. We had one in Tamil. Yeah. Could you explain about it, the reason of hub? Because is it the same outlet that you have in Gyan Mandala? No, in Gyan Mandala it's Karma Coffee. When we started a hub, that was like a little baby from my husband and me, because he runs a travel tracking agency, and he was also running cooking classes. And we pictured a concept space where different businesses come together, but in an open space concept, not like the stalls you see in many places, where we combine everything in a very inviting, homely space. And that's what we did in Tamil. So we had the cooking classes there. They were running twice every day. People could book trips. They could buy products, not just Karma, but also from other new initiatives. We had events, so we had food, so everything came together, and people like such places.
And you still can get the same thing in Boda as well?
It's smaller now.
Oh.
So the travel trekking part is not directly there with an office. But the concept is still the same. Yeah. You find different businesses, you find events, you get food, you meet others.
Sweet. Let's talk about the coffee now. We have not been talking about coffee. Do you sell coffee to coffee shops as well, or you mostly look into the home barista, or let's say home brewer? Because the kind of roast profile that you have it and the kind of coffee you have it right now, I do not have too much of it. I believe that you have a small packet before. Did you have this bigger packet?
We have different sizes.
Different sizes before as well?
Yeah.
I see. So do you also sell coffees for cafeteria?
We do have customers who from businesses. We do have a few resorts who source from us, but these are all partners where we have also other linkages. Basically, we try to work with people who have similar philosophy and similar principles in the way they operate. And if someone approaches us, we happily sell. For example, we also supply the highest hotel in the Everest. But otherwise, we focus on the home brewers so that everyone can easily make a good cup without buying expensive machines. And we have also a lot of families who just buy our coffee.
See. When it comes to home brewer, I would like to ask you what a proper station would cost, if you can say it right now. If somebody has to buy or purchase a station where it comes to dripper and also the station. Can we have that station, please? I want to show. I'm sorry we could not keep it over here because that's a very big one, but definitely we can show that as well. This one. What if somebody wants to buy and have? This is really lovely. I love the wood textures, This has not changed. The first time I bought it, it's a similar one. So the whole kit comes up with the station, the dripper, the mug.
I think the most expensive is the kettle. Because it's totally everything is totally handmade in Nepal. If you just buy the station with a mug and a filter and maybe the scoop, it's around 6,000-7,000. If you go for a big kettle, it's another around 7,000. If you go for a small kettle, it's around 4,500.
Okay, so around 10,000 someone can get the whole station.
The whole station. Or if you go for a starter set, it's less.
And they can enjoy the coffee.
Yeah. We also do... Well, we want that the people know what they're doing at home. So we're really happy if they ask us what ground and how to pour and how to brew. Because it seems not many people know that there are different grinds and...
the brewing...
The details, the small things. So we are really happy if someone comes and shows interest and wants to know that. Because that shows that the coffee culture is spreading.
Yes, makes sense.
Yeah.
So coming to the end of the session, I would like to ask Birgit, what's a vision when it comes to Karma Coffee?
I don't
want to take it to 5 years or maybe just a random in the future. That can be sooner or maybe later. Your vision when it comes to Karma Coffee.
I want to make it to a brand that everyone recognizes as the coffee that is specialized for hand brewing and for the community. But I also want to take it outside of Nepal. So my big dream right now is that I can create what we have in Nepal, at least in my home country or somewhere in Europe, where we can bring all the Nepal lovers together and where we can also reach where we have a space where Nepalis can come for limited time to work there in a organized, proud manner and come back. And, you know, I hear so many stories of young people where they have to go abroad or they want to go abroad to make money or to make their families happy, but not because it's their dream or it's there because they have a purpose. So I would like to create a place where both sides can learn from each other, enjoy what Nepal has to offer, but where also Nepalis manage to gain experience from working abroad, meeting the people, but also coming back.
Yeah.
So I think that's missing right now. We need to work towards giving opportunities for the young people, but in a way that they like to come back and also utilize their knowledge here.
That's awesome. Would you also like to add your message to the youngster? No, I would like to take that a little bit longer. Your message to the youngster, anything that you want to say, where they see the opportunity in Nepal specifically.
I see slowly a lot changes, but I want to encourage everyone to listen into themselves, to find out what they really want, and believe in themselves. I think too many give up too fast and do something to just earn quick money or to make their families happy. But I think there are a lot of opportunities here if they just show enough commitment, endurance, and just follow their dreams. I mean, look what you did. You are here. I think you're a good example. You're a good role model. And not to give up. There are always more roads leading to a destination. It's not all black and white. And I know a lot is not working so fantastic here, but I think every person has a possibility to actually do what they want to and earn money. It's changing in Nepal.
Wow. All right, Birgit, thank you so much. Thank
you for having me.
It was really nice talking to you. It was really lovely talking to you and listening to your stories. Thanks a lot for being here.
I enjoyed this well.
Me too.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. Ooh, thanks.